Today we're turning back the clock to New Jack City, the 1991 classic that hit the streets like a storm. This film wasn't just about gangsters and crime, it was about survival, the price of power, and the inevitable fall of those ruled by greed. It painted a vivid picture of a community under siege, where loyalty was tested and betrayal had deadly consequences. As we revisit this gem, let's celebrate its legendary cast, dissect its powerful messages, and explore why its story still resonates deeply within the Black community today. What do you call a man who could turn a street corner into his kingdom and fear into his weapon? That was Nino Brown, the ruthless leader of the Cash Money Brothers, a role electrified by Wesley Snipes at just 29 years old. Nino wasn't just ruthless, he was poetry in motion. A man who turned survival into an art form. His world was built on grit and gilded in gold, where power wasn't given but taken. Nino's charm was as dangerous as his ambition, pulling you in even as he played the game with cutthroat precision. As the mastermind behind a drug empire, he wielded influence with a silk-gloved iron fist, turning entire blocks into his playground and people into pawns. He was the perfect definition of the hustle, raw, relentless, and real. Beneath the tailored suits and cold-blooded decisions was a man who knew that in the jungle of life, only the lions eat. And Nino Brown was always hungry. Is there anything more powerful than a leader who knows exactly who he is and what he stands for? That was Stone, the unshakable force brought to life by the incomparable Mario Van Peebles at just 34 years old. Stone was that rare kind, a disciplined and determined force within the police task force, whose mission was nothing short of monumental. Take down Nino Brown and dismantle the Cash Money Brothers drug empire. He was the kind of man who didn't waste words. Every syllable had weight and every gesture had purpose. His brand of leadership wasn't about control, it was about guidance, the kind that could pull you back from the edge without you realizing it. Stone was that rare blend of toughness and tenderness, a mentor who could lead with both a firm hand and an open heart. His presence was steadying, like a lighthouse on a stormy night, reminding us that true strength lies in knowing when to stand tall and when to lend a hand. Who steps into the lion's den with nothing but grit and a badge? That was Scotty Appleton, the fearless undercover cop brought to life by Ice-T at just 33 years old. Scotty wasn't just another cop on the beat. He was a man on a mission to take down Nino Brown and dismantle the Cash Money Brothers empire from the inside out. With street smarts sharper than a razor and a determination that burned like wildfire, he moved through the underworld with purpose. Scotty wasn't afraid to get close to danger. He danced with it, played its game, and never lost sight of his goal. Beneath the swagger and the cool demeanor was a storm. A man who knew the only way to bring justice to the streets was to walk them, live them, and, if necessary, bleed for them. He was proof that true warriors wear plain clothes and carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. What happens when a spark loses its flame? When the world that once loved and admired starts to turn against you? That was Pookie, the heartbreaking soul brought to life by a 26-year-old Chris Rock. Pookie was once the life of the block, the guy with a smile that made you believe anything was possible. But his story wasn't just about addiction. It was about the harsh reality of the streets. He was the kid with potential, the brother who fell through the cracks, the friend who got lost along the way. Watching his downfall was like feeling the weight of your own struggles. It was painful, real, and impossible to ignore. Pookie wasn't just a character, he was a mirror to the battles so many face every day. A reminder of how easy it is to slip when you're surrounded by nothing but hard choices. His struggle was a reminder of how easy it is to fall when life keeps pulling you down, and how some stories end too soon, leaving behind only the echo of what might have been. At 60 years old, Chris Rock is still making waves with his sharp wit and fearless comedy. Whether on stage or behind the scenes, his talent for turning life's chaos into laugh-out-loud moments keeps him a standout in entertainment. Rock's voice remains a powerful force, blending humor with truth and tackling tough conversations with ease. Focused on family, friends, and his creative projects, he continues to captivate audiences with his storytelling. From stand-up specials to thought-provoking ventures, Chris Rock proves that true comedy legends only get better with time. They say beauty is a weapon, but in Keisha's hands it was a loaded gun with no safety. Keisha, brought to life by Vanessa Estelle Williams at 28 years old, was the kind of woman who turned heads and then broke necks. She wasn't just Nino Brown's enforcer, she was his velvet-gloved fist, the lethal beauty whose curves were only outmatched by the sharpness of her trigger finger. Beneath her chocolate skin and seductive smile lay a storm, a woman who moved through the Cash Money Brothers empire like a panther, smooth, silent, and deadly. Keisha was proof that danger could wear red lipstick and high heels, that a kiss could be as deadly as a gunshot. She wasn't just a character, she was the embodiment of the street's seductive pull, showing us that sometimes the most dangerous weapon in the room is the one that makes your heart skip before it stops. How far can you go when the weight of loyalty is the chain around your neck? G-Money, played by Payne, at 23 years old was Nino Brown's lieutenant and right-hand man, his most trusted enforcer. In a world where loyalty was currency, G was the one who paid the price. He wasn't just the muscle, he was the backbone, the one who helped build Nino's empire, believing in a dream that was slowly being poisoned by greed. His loyalty, once a strength, became his greatest weakness as the world he helped create crumbled beneath him. G-Money wasn't just a supporting player, he was the mirror of blind faith in a ruthless world. His role showed that even the closest ally can become a casualty when loyalty and power collide. In the end, G-Money was the tragic truth that loyalty can be both your armor and your undoing. How do you make a name for yourself in a world where silence speaks louder than words? Man, played by Nunn at 38 years old, wasn't about talk. He was all action. As Nino Brown's loyal enforcer, he moved through the streets like a shadow, his unsettling mutter a warning to anyone who stood in the way. He wasn't the mastermind or the deal maker, he was the muscle, the one who turned threats into consequences. With a look that could freeze time, Man wasn't just a henchman, he was the force behind Nino's power, the quiet storm that swept through when words were no longer enough. His presence was a reminder that in the game of survival, sometimes it's not the loudest voice that demands respect, it's the cold, unflinching gaze of a man who lets his actions do all the talking. How dangerous is it to love a king when his crown is built on blood and betrayal? Selina Thomas, played by Michele at 25 years old, wasn't just Nino Brown's girlfriend, she was his secret weapon. Behind every move the Cash Money Brothers made, Selina's sharp mind was there, calculating, strategizing, pulling strings from the shadows. She wasn't just another pretty face in the game. She was the quiet storm, using her wit to steer the empire's business while keeping Nino's ego fed. But loyalty in the streets is fragile, and when Nino's hunger for power turned into recklessness, Selina found herself at a dangerous crossroads. She was a queen in a kingdom built on fear, balancing love and survival with every step. In a world where trust was a liability, Selina's story wasn't just about betrayal. It was about a woman who learned the hard way that standing next to the king could mean falling with him. Can a man with nothing left to lose become the moral compass of a lost world? At 66 years old, Cobbs wasn't just playing the old man. He was the last breath of decency in a world choking on greed. His worn face and slow steps told the story of a time when integrity meant more than money. While Nino Brown built his empire on broken lives, the old man carried the weight of a community's lost hopes, his steady gaze a reminder of what had been lost. His hands might have shaken, but his spirit was strong. Every step he took through the dangerous streets was an act of quiet courage. He didn't need guns or power to make an impact. His strength was in his truth, and his shield was the belief that one voice could still matter. When he finally stood up to Nino, it wasn't just an old man pointing a gun. It was a generation demanding justice. In a world where survival meant losing your soul, the old man showed that real bravery sometimes meant just standing your ground and refusing to look away. Is there a colder truth than the man who stands in the shadows, witnessing chaos but never losing his cool? Park, portrayed by Wong at 28 years old, wasn't just a background player. He was the silent enforcer, the right hand that moved when Nino Brown needed muscle without the mess. Where others craved the spotlight, Park mastered invisibility, his strength lying in his calm demeanor and swift execution. He was the quiet blade in a world full of loud guns, the watchful presence that made danger feel even closer. Park's story was a testament to the underestimated, the ones who move without noise but leave echoes of fear in their wake. In a game where loyalty was currency, Park proved that real power isn't always seen. It's felt, lingering long after he was gone. What do you do when playing by the rules just isn't enough? Nick Peretti, played by Judd Nelson at 31 years old, was the cop who knew that sometimes, to clean up the streets, you had to get a little dirty. He wasn't the hero in a clean suit. He was the guy in the trenches, a detective who'd seen too much and believed too little. As Scotty Appleton's partner, Nick brought a razor-sharp edge to the fight against the CMB empire. He was the kind of cop who'd kick down a door without a warrant, who understood that on these streets, justice wasn't always black and white. Nick wasn't just a sidekick. He was the gritty truth that not all good guys wear badges with clean hands. He walked the line between law and lawless, proving that sometimes, to bring down a kingpin, you had to speak the only language the streets understood: survival. How dangerous is it to balance the books when the ink is blood and the ledger is life or death? Kareem Akbar, played by Christopher Williams at 34 years old, wasn't just the accountant for the Cash Money brothers. He was the quiet strategist, the brain behind the empire's financial success. Once just a bank teller, Kareem left the safety of his day job for the dangerous hustle of the streets, trading a steady 9-to-5 for the fast life of a gang member. He moved money with precision, believing that numbers could shield him from the blood on the streets. Kareem thought if he crunched the right digits he could stay clean, stay safe, but nothing in that world comes without a cost. While others pulled triggers, he pulled strings. But the game doesn't care who holds the weapon. When betrayal came knocking, his intellect couldn't save him from the inevitable. Kareem's story was a hard truth. No matter how sharp your mind, when you dance in the devil's playground, you're bound to get burned. Is there anything more dangerous than a beautiful woman who knows exactly what she wants? At just 28 years old, Tracy Camilla Johns embodied the unforgettable Uniqua, a character whose allure and ambition ignited a deadly storm. As a pole dancer at the Spotlight nightclub, Uniqua wasn't merely an entertainer. She was the girlfriend of the ambitious G Money and the secret mistress of his power-hungry boss, Nino Brown, who later claimed her as his own. Her clandestine betrayal shattered the brotherhood between the two men, setting off a chain reaction that led to G Money's tragic death at Nino's hands. Through Uniqua, Johns delivered a masterclass in the dangers of desire, showing us how love, betrayal, and survival can collide with devastating consequences. We've come to the end of New Jack City Cast Then and Now. Hope you enjoyed seeing the real names and ages of the cast and finding out where they are now. Until next time, keep your circle tight, your vision clear, and always rise above the hustle.